Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Crypto Market Update. We have been gone for a while, but we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is going to be one of our first daily quick updates, giving you a peek into the market, what is happening in cryptocurrency right now. Something is happening that we all need to be paying attention to. This is all what we've said. Oh, summer's going to be so boring, the summer doldrums. That's exactly what played out. The summer boredom was real. The summer doldrums played out, but Bitcoin appears to be breaking out. And in today's episode, we are going to break down everything you need to know to be able to comfortably navigate the next 6 months in the market, keeping an eye to maintaining your profit and keeping an eye away from giving it all back with reckless trading. Let's get cracking. All right, starting off on the weekly chart, because the weekly chart has been so just chef's kiss for predicting these movements and having an eagle eye into the big picture here. As we can see, Bitcoin strongly above 70,000. Bitcoin does appear to be breaking out. The key things I want to point out on the weekly chart, and stay tuned because we've got some indicator alerts that you are going to want to know. The key thing on this chart is, of course, the 21 weekly moving average having reversed course following its decline. We were declining on the 21 exponential moving average pretty much once we hit the middle of the year, July, and just descending downwards. Everybody was calling for the bottom to drop out. We found support at the 55 weekly exponential moving average, and we began to climb, not only making our first higher high and our first higher low in quite a while, but actually we are now in the midst of our second higher high, pulling that 21 exponential moving average up, causing it to slope upwards. This is important, maintaining the bullish narrative. As we can see, the directional movement index also confirms this as well, with our bullish indicator crossing over the negative. Now, the weekly is still trending down in terms of the ADX, the average directional index, but as we can see from the visible range volume profile indicator, the critical resistance that we breached was this high volume node right here that stretches approximately from $67.2 thousand to $68,000. We have now broken and breached that level, pushing us back up to actually make a break for the new all-time high. Ideally, if we do have a pullback, because we are facing quite a sell wall, but to be fair, I've taken a look at the sell walls, and as we can see, they're actually quite chunky all the way, honestly, all the way up to 80,000, all right? So some serious big limit ask orders here in the order books. Starting where we're at right now, we are experiencing our first drive into that big wall of sell blocks right now, stretching from about 73,000 up to about, let's see, 74,500. But I mean, as we can see, look at the commitment of traders in the $75,000 mark. I find it much more likely, and the options traders will agree with me, we'll look at that in just a second, that Bitcoin is much more likely to make a short-term push to 75,000, creating a new all-time high, rather than pulling back somewhere into the 60s. So I think the sentiment, certainly on my end and certainly in the market, does seem to be one of much more bullishness than bearishness. Back on the weekly chart, and here we're going to have our first indicator alert. As you guys know, I am a strategy trader. I am a systems trader. I don't really focus too much on trading my opinion. I simply focus on trading the signals that have been given to me. This is how I've been able to build a career as a trader, not by intuition, but through math and strategy and consistency and discipline. That's how I recommend you guys trade as well. And I always like to kind of highlight when good indicators do great things, and when also I like to highlight bad indicators that are just terrible and you should never use them. The indicator that I want to point out here is, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's just an oldie but a goodie, and it's fantastic. And I want to point you out to this pattern that I've noticed on the Bitcoin weekly chart that can help you identify the best times to buy and sell Bitcoin depending on where we're at in the market structure. That is going to be, it's an oldie but a goodie. This is the Guppy EMA script. This one right here comes from Chris Moody. I like this one the best. I've used a lot of different Guppy indicators over time, but I want to point out exactly where the bottom of the current market was, and that was at the lower boundary of this of the Guppy. So the Guppy is comprised of two bands of moving averages. We've got the fast band and the slow band. So what I've noticed, and this is a pattern, go back and back test it for yourself, in a bull market, price does not go below the 55 EMA, does not close below the 55 EMA. We can see that if we just simply look at the EMAs over here. Price does not close below the 55 EMA. When price closes below the 55 EMA, that is it. The price will rally one more time from there, and that is the rally that you need to sell out of your position, get out of your crypto, potentially go short, buy puts, and ride the market down. So I want to point out the exact same thing happening. We're going to go back in time here. This is 2021. This is the double top of the market in 2021. As we can see on the pullback off that first all-time high, price pullback, and we did not close below the bottom guppy range. We did not close below the 55 EMA. In fact, we found support there, even with time transformation, putting in a reversal buy signal right there at the very bottom. This is one of our proprietary indicators that all of our clients have access to. We rallied, but what happened when we actually closed below the 55? What happened? Price closed below the 55. We rallied one more time. Usually it's only a little bit above, sometimes it's a little bit more. And then that was it. That was the end. That was the beginning of the bear market. That was it. Let's go back in time a little bit more. Here we go. Here's the top of the market in 2017. You guys all remember this, rallying up to 20,000. Well, 19 and some change. Big, massive pullback to 6,000. And then this big descending triangle happens. But notice, we're not closing below the 55. We don't close below the 55, and therefore we continue to put in highs. But what happens as soon as we close below the 55? That means it's over. It's not an immediate sell to the downside from there. We always do another rally back up, but it's the shortest rally ever. As we can see, another lower high. And then just a few short months after that, the bottom drops out and we went down to 3K. All right. And that's the lowest Bitcoin's price has ever been for a long time. Now, I want to keep in mind, I want to point out a caveat here. This is not true 100% of the time this happens on the indicator. This only happens with this particular indicator when the colors are bright green and bright blue, indicating that a bullish crossover has occurred, that the fast band has crossed over the slow band, and that we are in a bullish trend. All right, so we often always see this happen towards the end of market cycles. Pull back to the 55 EMA. Cool, we're gonna go for another high. Close below the 55 EMA, the bull market is over. So this is an indicator signal that you need to be watching in your own personal strategy. If you do not have an indicator set up, if you do not have a system set up to let you know when the end of the market cycle is near, and that your highest reward action is to sell out of your positions and go market neutral, flat, or short, you need something like this. This is simple. This is free. You can add this to any of your charts, and it's something you only need to really check once a month. All right. It also gives you a great trade setup because we know statistically that we are going to rally after that close below the 55, giving you a great opportunity to get out of your positions and really tidy up your portfolio and stock cash away so that you can survive the next 18 to 24 months of the bear. Now, getting back to my personal strategy, as we can see, one of my favorite indicators, another from Chris Moody, the Gann swing indicator, did confirm a bullish breakout on the week of October 14th. Price closed strongly above the bearish invalidation level on that close. We had a little bit of a pullback, an indecision candle for last week, and this week going strong as price has already moved from 67,000 to 72,000. So we're already $5,000 up on the week. Beautiful explosive growth out of Bitcoin so far and looking quite good. Current invalidation levels for this rally, what would send price bearish would be a close below 58,000. To be more precise, it's 58,920 is where that exact level is at. Now, as we were talking about with regards to the Guppy indicator, we can cross-reference that as well. Now, the Guppy indicator is actually giving us a little bit more leeway here. That invalidation level is lower on the Guppy EMA, with that invalidation level down at approximately $55,000. Remember, closing below $55,000 would mean that the bull market is over. But I don't think that's going to happen. We are going to end this market cycle with price discovery, with moving into the euphoria phase, as we've been expecting. Now, if we take a bird's eye view of Bitcoin, essentially following the peak of the market in March, we had a 3 drives pattern down, two lower lows subsequently, but 3 lows, all right, that drove down to, again, where the 55 exponential moving average pushing down into that lower support band. We rallied from there, put in a lower high, but then a higher low, then a higher high, then a higher low, now a higher high, all right? Anybody who knows Elliott wave cycle should be expecting what comes next. A higher low, a higher high, all right? That's what we should be expecting right now. So all of this is quite favorable, and with the upcoming US election and the fact that we now have a more favorable macroeconomic conditions and that further catalysts are unfolding on the horizon, it would be quite unlikely for Bitcoin to now reverse all the way back down into the 60s. And looking at options trades, looking at options flow as well, it seems options traders are also far more optimistic that Bitcoin will rally to 75,000 in the short term before even trying to think of making a move lower. Again, we can be anticipating a pullback as we begin to fill orders between 70 and 75,000, potentially even 80. So we would be expecting a pullback after another higher high, after this higher high concludes, another higher low, and then expectedly another higher high. Now, it is interesting. I'm looking at my timelines. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at TradingView. And even though there's lots of excited people out there, just the numbers don't really seem to support, don't really seem to coincide with what's going on with Bitcoin. It seems so many people are being quiet. All of these traders that I tend to listen to, everybody, all the activity is like died down. People are being quiet about the current prospects of Bitcoin. I would speculate that that is because most traders are sidelined and either still in cash or potentially even short, and they're indecisive about whether to push the green button. I think the decision is quite clear. This chart would suggest that we are prepared to enter the price discovery euphoria phase of the market cycle. Now, what is very interesting is how Ethereum has decoupled from Bitcoin, and it is not showing the same price performance. In fact, Ethereum is lagging significantly behind, and this is one of the strongest talking points that I've heard bandied about online. Bitcoin is approximately 2.5% below its all-time high, while Ethereum is 55% below its all-time high. Okay? Interestingly as well, if we use the comparison feature to actually compare Bitcoin to Ethereum, we can actually see something interesting. Look here on Bitcoin. As we can see, as we're reaching the all-time high, we have this higher high the week ending of March 4th, and then we have a pullback in Bitcoin and then a push to a higher high. Ethereum began dumping well in advance, 2 weeks in advance of Bitcoin back in March. So it began its decoupling already back then, which is kind of interesting. But the most significant decoupling, of course, is occurring here at the beginning of September, when Bitcoin began to rally strongly, first back up into the middle of the range and now to the top of the range. But as we can see, Ethereum is completely lagging behind. What is going on here? Now, is this the fact that Ethereum hit its all-time high 2 weeks prior to Bitcoin? That doesn't make sense because no one knew at that time what the price of the top would be. Okay? So I've heard a lot of speculation online, a lot of negativity about Ethereum. But again, Ethereum is lagging behind, and I would put quite a bit of credence on what I'm hearing as a catch-up trade, essentially. All right. But that is not the strongest argument in my opinion. So I'll just be full disclosure exactly what I'm doing. Okay. As I'm moving my portfolio back into full crypto, I do have exposure to Ethereum. Barbell strategy, Ethereum is good. I view it as a relatively low risk position because if it does catch up, the outsized rewards will be great. And Bitcoin will rally when Bitcoin rallies, and it will drag the rest of the altcoins up, particularly as Bitcoin starts getting towards the end of its market cycle, or especially if it goes sideways or laggards at all. That is when altcoins and Ethereum will shine. So Ethereum has a lot of room to grow, and I think the worst case scenario is that it just stays stagnant and goes sideways. I do not expect, though, I think the worst case scenario, if Bitcoin is going to rally, Ethereum just stays sideways. That's the worst case scenario. So that's why I view that particular split trade as very low risk, because any money that I put into Ethereum, kind of my worst case scenario, of course, expecting that the market doesn't completely crash, but that's what stop losses are for, is that it goes sideways. But I'm very optimistic that I'm at least going to get the average return of the market, as it's going to move up slowly, even if it doesn't catch up all the way to Bitcoin. But if it does catch up, which it has a high probability to do in my estimation, then it is going to be one of the safer banger trades of the current season. So overall, this market cycle is proceeding as expected. Resolution to the summer doldrums have come in the fall, as we expected, as we talked about throughout the summer. While we might be facing a sell wall right now and a pullback might be coming in the following weeks or days, overall, I feel the next 6 months should be mostly up only, with price discovery pushing us into the euphoria phase of the market. Now, for right now, for today, we are in a bit of no man's land if we're going to talk about daily trading right now. We're in no man's land until we break the all-time high. However, as I said, option flows suggest traders think a rip to 75,000 is much more likely than a pullback to, let's say, the $60,000 range. So for a little bit more granularity, a little bit more clarity, let's dive down into the daily time frame. Let's dive down into the lower time frames and get a better picture of what we can expect from Bitcoin and set up some strategies to account for these different scenarios. So one thing that I think is really beautiful about this setup for Bitcoin right now, as we can see on the daily time frame, we actually did get the Gann flip, the bullish buy signal, back here on the 14th of October, kind of the same day that the weekly candle closed as well. So very good confluence right there. We had a nice rally, essentially from the close of that daily candle at approximately 66,000 up till we got that time transformation reversal signal at approximately 67,000. Price basically went sideways for about 5 days. And then we've just had most of the explosive growth today and yesterday with Bitcoin's price. What's beautiful though, is that time transformation is nowhere near overbought. Nowhere near overbought. And this is a beautiful thing. We always get worried if things are pushing up and breaking out and we're overbought, right? Oftentimes breakout trades will be overbought and that's fine. You just step on the gas. But when we get a chart breakout coupled with the fact that our indicators, our technical indicators are not overbought, this is a beautiful thing. This is exactly what we want to look for. This is exactly, I mean, it's just exciting. It's just exciting. All right. As I said, we do see the kind of critical level of resistance, this high volume node being this consolidation area that we placed earlier. So even on the daily, if we kind of zoom out here, we can see on the daily, that first higher high, that first higher low, that second higher high, that third higher low, and that now that third higher high. All right. So if we are going to continue in this pattern, pullbacks ideally will stay above 68,000. Okay, that would be quite nice to see. Pullback staying above 68,000. And right now we don't see any contrary signals. Let's take a look at our reversal system. All right, so looking at our reversal system, as we can see, we are trying to breach the upper boundary of the Bollinger Bands right now. As I said, we are not overbought. Volume in USD is quite high. Looking at the CM Laguerre, we are flashing warning, all right, for potentially being close to being overbought, but we are not flashing critical red signals yet at this time. So, and again, looking back at time transformation, we are far from being overbought whatsoever. So being prudent is important, all right? So if you are on the sidelines right now and you're looking to get into a position on Bitcoin, I think that barring some significant catalyst, all right, barring some very negative significant catalyst, we are unfolding this market cycle as we would expect. All right, getting a resolution to the summer doldrums in the fall and getting back into the market cycle in the next phase of the market cycle would be price discovery, euphoria. All right, the euphoric phase of the market where prices accelerate rapidly, altcoins likely going along with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin clearly leading the charge. So the next couple days are going to be crucial. Today's daily close will be crucial. If we can successfully close the daily candle above the upper boundary of the Bollinger Bands and continue moving up, that would confirm a breakout on pretty much any avenue that you want to measure a breakout on, and likely price can move up very quickly to 75K. So I would expect the price does hit 75K before we do get a significant pullback. And I do think that if we are lucky enough to get a pullback, which is likely, if we are lucky enough to get a pullback into mid-range, that will likely be one of the last opportunities to begin positioning into Bitcoin before the rally continues. I really do not see this ping-ponging continue as we are now moving out of the summer doldrums strongly into the fall. And this is usually when we get resolution in November. The market makes a decisive movement that lasts in November, either to the upside or to the downside. And in this case, it seems like we're going to the upside. Looking at our volatility system, which is one of our great strategy, simple indicators, we can see that BBWP dropped to critical levels here around between October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Flashing blue, meaning that volatility was extremely low. This is usually the best time to position for a trade. And then what direction do you position into the trade? Well, we use a momentum indicator such as Minx, and we wait for that bullish crossover, which occurred right here. So entering long, following a critical level of being under volatile. Zooming down to the hourly, we can see that the short-term momentum does seem to have died out a bit for BTC here. We can see very similarly that same kind of great trading opportunity basically throughout this range of the market that occurred on the 26th, so basically over Saturday. We had beautiful multiple signals of low volatility, and then finally that beautiful breakout above the zero line on Minx right here, that directional indicator right there. We reached overbought essentially around this level. We still have not crossed below the overbought threshold, so we are still trending to the upside. But as we can see, we did hit at critical overbought high volatility levels right here, which is always generally the best time to exit a trade, all right, or take a contrary trade, take a reversal trade in the opposite direction. But we're trend following traders, so we don't really typically like to trade reversals. So we do see over the last couple of hours, price is currently pulling back right now after reaching an all-time high on Coinbase of about 73,624. All right, so let's see how this pullback plays out over the next few hours and potentially days. Look for a potentially higher low and see what will be. All right, guys. I wanted to keep our first video short and sweet, just get out the main bullet points, just give you guys an idea of what's happening in the market and broadly what I expect over the next 6 months. Over the next days, I will be continuing to post daily short videos like this and looking to live stream a longer 2 to 3 hour session where I dive deep into altcoins, take your questions, answer your super chats once a week. I'm currently looking at Friday for that. On a personal note, thank you guys so much for your support. I've received so many messages from people, asking if everything was okay and how I was doing. You guys are a fantastic community. I love making these videos for you guys, and I want you to know that I am committed to creating content for you guys and that I will be here consistently and that you will be able to rely on me moving forward. On that note, following the closure of the JumpX exchange, North Americans, just like me, are desperate for an exchange to trade on that they can trust. I want to let you guys know that I have proudly partnered with ByDFi as my exchange of choice. So why did I choose ByDFi over the many other options out there? Well, they are listed on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. They are one of the top 10 CoinGecko exchanges. They are fully licensed in the United States and Canada. They're listed as one of the top 10 crypto exchanges by Forbes. They have a strong brand. They were previously named BitYard. They have strong capital backdrop, and soon they're going to be issuing the ByDFi card, which is a crypto bank card that you'll be able to connect to PayPal, Apple, Alipay, supported by Visa and MasterCard. You can access up to 200x leverage on their futures trading, and the key, the critical key, the one decider, KYC and VPN is not required on this platform. You'll also enjoy 0% trading fees on all spot trades, and they have USDT margin futures, coin margin futures, leveraged coins, and demo trading, so you can test your trading strategy without actually risking any of your capital. There's up to $8,100 in bonuses available for new traders. And one of the deciding reasons I chose to partner with ByDFi is their promotion and focus on their spot trading. As you know, most crypto exchanges promote futures trading because, of course, big profits can be made there. But we know from the data that most whales primarily keep their funds in spot. It's only when the market makes a big move that they move some of their funds into futures to take high risk, bigger trades. With ByDFi's strategic trading features for spot trading, you, the end user, will actually get to experience a better spot trading experience, which is the vast majority of boots on the ground trading situations. Over time, I think this will attract bigger funds and larger traders and make ByDFi an even better exchange. So you guys can stop treating the exchange like a casino and getting wrecked on leveraged futures and come up your game with me over at ByDFi. I'm also in negotiations with the platform right now to provide fee reductions for any users who sign up under my link. And while that is not live yet, it will be retroactively granted to everyone who signs up. Click the link in the description if you want to help support this channel and enjoy a better trading experience. And a big thank you to ByDFi for not only supporting my content, but partnering with me and providing a great exchange. That's all for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, personal responsibility and discipline are the keys to success in this space. Until I see you guys tomorrow, trade safely and be good.